Good day, we are the Group 2, presented by De Pala Nicole, De Horas Mary Frances, Espinosa Princess Nicole, Estrope John D. Ward, Garrido Mark Joffrey, Haka Joko, and Halbena Yuan Carlos.
The first topic is shaft design. Introduction. Chapter 8 covers shaft design theory, that shafts are ubiquitous and require special treatment. A shaft is a rotating member transmitting power, where an axle is a stationary member carrying rotating wheels. Line shafts are driven by a prime mover, while intermediate shafts are countershafts, jack shafts, or head shafts. Short shafts are called spinels. Bending forces produced by belts and chains. The force F in the horsepower equation is the net driving force, which in a belt drive is F is equal to F sub 1 minus F sub 2, where F sub 1 is the tension on the tight side and F sub 2 is the tension on the slack side. The bending force on the shaft is F sub 1 plus F sub 2. The sum of tensions depends on factors like power transmitted, speed, and initial belt tension. The bending force can be calculated by assuming F sub 1 divided by F sub 2 or C. For a flat belt, a value of C is equal to 2, and it is reasonable, but a value of 2.5 or 3 is more conservative. Design of shafts for strength. A shaft with multiple gears or pulleys experiences different torques at different points, requiring careful observation of torque distribution and bending moment distribution. The shaft's diameter may vary for structural reasons, necessitating stress checks or section size determination. The designer ensures safe stresses for all sections, considering fillets, holes, keyways, and stress racers. For example, a 24 inches pulley B receives 30 HP at 360 RPM from below at an angle of 45 degrees. As shown in Figure 9.1, an 18 inches gear C delivers 40% of the power. A 12 inches gear E delivers the remaining power downward toward the left at an angle of 30 degrees below the horizontal. Both gears have 20-degree involute teeth. The shaft is to be machined from annealed C1137 with profile keyways for each gear and pulley. The load is smooth. A. Find the diameter of the shaft for N is equal to 1.8 when the Soderberg criterion is used for the equivalent stresses. And B. Let there be a step down in the size of the shaft at a bearing D and compute the diameter from D to E. And for the solution, the torques transmitted by the pulleys or gears are P sub B is equal to 63,000 HP over N. And we're going to substitute it for 63,000 HP times 30 over 360 is equal to 5,250 inches pumps on shaft between B and C. And for T sub C is equal to 63,000 times 12 over 360. It is equal to 2,100 inches pump delivered. And for T E T sub E for torque sub E is equal to 63,000 times 18 over 360 is equal to 3,150 inches pound. And that is for shaft between C and E.
Okay, the next discussion is about shaft sizes and materials. The figure below are transmission shafting used to transmit power from a prime mover to a machine. Yeah. Example of a prime mover are windmills, water wheels, internal combustion engines, and turbines. Yung mga following sizes na ito ay 15 and 16ths, 3, 15th and 16ths, 1 and 3 and 16ths, 4 and 7 and 16ths. Nasa book naman natin to, yung mga following sizes na ito. Kaya siguro kahit di ko nabasahin lahat. To the next slide. Connection pa rin dun sa slide nung nauna. Commercial bearings and couplings are readily obtainable for most of these sizes from earlier. Stock lengths of transmission shafting include 16, 20, or 24 feet, and lengths over 24 feet can be obtained on order. Typical sizes of machinery shafts that are integral part of a machine are with tolerances for finish shafting with tolerances below by 1 and 16 inches in increments in this range. Pasok dun sa 1 and 16 inches yung tatlong magkasunod. Yeah, as you can see naman in the presentation, yung may parenthesis. Below are 1 and 18 inches increments, 1 and 4 inches increments, also 1 and 4 inches increments below. Shafts are made in different ways and it has a wide variety of materials. The shafting referred to above is likely to be cold drawn carbon steel in sizes smaller than 3/4 inches. Yung sabi nga kanina, madaming different ways and variety ng materials. Isa na dun yung larger shafts. Yung larger shafts ay torn or polished and ground from hot rolled material. Yung larger shafts naman ay iikot at napapolish sa may init na materials. Yung application ng turning removes some decarburized steel. Sizes over 5 or 6 inches in are usually forged and turned to size. Yung inang kakalabasan na ay yung crankshafts. As for automotive engines, may be forged or cast. They are cast from steel, yung matataas na grade na steel, cast iron, or nodular iron. The most commonly stock material for shafting would be carbon steel with some 30 to 40 points of carbon. Yung materials for automotive crankshafts and axles include these numbers: 1340, 1345, 8637, 8650. Ito yung mga carbon contents used in the larger sizes for greater hardenability. Yung heat treatment may be to BHN. BHN is Brinell hardness number. Yung Brinell hardness number is a number proportional to the load or test force of a hard steel ball to the calculated curve area of the indentation formed. Yung BHN o yung Brinell hardness number sometimes quoted in megapascals. The Brinell hardness number is multiplied by the acceleration due to gravity, meter per second. And correction, meter per second squared, multiplied by the acceleration due to gravity, 9 meter per second squared. All these shafts with 0.43 degrees Celsius cracked when the carbon was reduced to 0.37. There was no further trouble with cracking, and the part had sufficient fatigue strength. If yung mga parte ng shaft are to be carburized or lower carbon, numbers ay 0.15 to 0.20%. May possibility of fretting corrosion if force fits are used on the shafts. The effect of any kind of corrosion of oil holes, fillets, etc. on the fatigue strength should not be overlooked. On the next slide, 9.6. Hollow, round, and square shafts. Despite being more expensive yung hollow round shafts than solid ones, yung mga hollow round shafts I preferred to use in large sizes due to their strength, stiffness, and mas maganda yung response nila to heat treatment. In the square shafts naman, as you can see below, when yung square shaft should be generously beveled yung edges niya para maiwasan yung failure ng magtitilos na edges or sharp edges. Next, vertical shear. Shear due to bending is a maximum at the neutral plane where the normal stress is zero and the magnitude of this shear is relatively small compared with other stresses, except in short beams. A cantilever prank pin may qualify. Yung vertical, also adding to this presentation, vertical shear often denoted as V. Makikita nyo yung mamaya yung symbol na yan. It refers to the internal force within a structure that acts perpendicular to the longitudinal axis of the structure. In simpler terms, it represents force that tries to cut or slice through a structural element vertically. In context naman nun sa beams and shafts, vertical shear can result from external loads applied to the structure. For example, in simply supported beam subjected to a point load, the vertical shear force will be the highest at the point of application of the load. Next is torsional deflection. Shaft design also needs to account for deflection, which can be crucial. The criteria for limiting torsional deflection differs, such as 0.08 degrees per foot of length for machinery shafts or 1 degrees per foot, 1 in 20 diameters for transmission shafting. In short shafts, especially when subject to impulse loads, like those on an automobile, crankshafts nagkakaroon ng pose challenges in their rigidity. Torsional vibrations from those impulses are often counteracted yung mga dampers in automotive engines. Torsional deflection, add ko na din yung meaning, refers to yung twisting of angular displacement of a structural element under influence of torsional, yung twisting, pag-iikot. An example would be Sa example nun ay yung shaft or rod na na mayroong torsional forces. Yang isang example nun ay isang cylindrical steel. Cylindrical na steel shaft na ginagamit sa makina. Pag nag-apply ka ng torsional force dun sa dun sa halimbawa sa harapan nung cylindrical steel shaft, habang yung sa kabilang dulo ay wala kang nilagay na force, torsional, the shaft will yang makaka-experience yung shaft ng torsional, yun na nga yung tinatawag na torsional deflection. In other word, it will twist along with its axis. The amount of torsional deflection depends on factors. Yung mga factors na yun ay applied torque, yung haba ng shaft, at saka yung property ng material ng cylindrical steel shaft na example. Next is transverse deflection. The transverse deflection of a solid round member can be calculated using equation 1.6 below, which provides the correct value at the neutral plane. Yan. As you can see in the presentation equation, transverse deflection equals 16V vertical, the vertical, yun nga yung 16V. Ulit nga, yung transverse deflection equals 16V, yung V ay vertical shear force over 3 pi d squared is equal to 4V over 3A area. The transverse deflection is the sideways bending or displacement of a structural element like a shaft or beam when it faces external forces or loads. Ang pinagkaiba nung, kung may mapapansin nyo, pinagkaiba nung transverse deflection dun sa torsional deflection, ang una ko napansin ay yung torsional deflection ay yung way niya ay pa vertical. Samantalang itong transverse deflection ay horizontal. Yung sinabi nga dito na sideways bending. Isang example dito ay isang beam supported. Merong beam na nakasuportahan yung magkabilang dulo. And nag-apply ka dun ng load vertically downward, pababa. At some point, yung haba, its length, the beam will deflect sideways. The sideways bending or displacement of the beam is what we called the transverse deflection. Nga pala yung equation na nandito, ay meron naman pala nakalagay. Pero yun lang ay para sa solid round, yung equation na to. 9.10 chapter, graphical integration. Yung in the next slide makikita nyo yung MA. Given a curve defined by U equals to f of x, then as seen in, yun nga, yung sa figure 9.5 mamaya. A vertical strip of height U and width dx is dA, and the entire area under that curve or curves is dA du dx, integrated through as many functions as required by analogy. We have equation 1.8 dx, the integration of which gives 8. Hence, if ito na nga yung figure. Yan, one method of this graphical integration illustrated, the curve ABC is known. The area under it is yung nasa baba, divided into smaller areas. Yun yung A1, A2, A3, A4. A1, A2, A3, at saka A4. Usually, with x sub 1 is equals x sub 2, x sub 3, etc. for convenience only. So that straight line is a good approximation of the curve at the top areas, yung mga nasa taas na area. Yung points A, B, C, etc. Then halfway across the areas A1, A2, draw any convenient vertical reference line. I mean, choose any convenient pole at a distance from P or P and O reference line. Then represents a scale area A1, G to B, and represents A2. For proof, consider the similar yung equation nito ay may i-discuss no next reporter. That's all. Thank you.
Vibration and critical speed of shock. A symmetrical rotating body's center of rotation is not the same as its center of mass. This is due to the two factors. Number one is it's very impossible to distribute mass uniformly around the body geometric center, and number two, the shaft that rotates the body deflect when the body is stressed. As a result, the center of mass shift away from the bearing center line, which is the field axis. Um, as the shaft rotates, the centrifugal force reverses, causing the shaft and its associated bodies to vibrate violently. We refer this as the critical speed. When the body is virtually revolving about its mass center, it achieves a smooth running equilibrium state above the critical speed, or what we call the centrifugal force balance. Now, Now let's go to the understanding critical speed. The critical speed of shaft is the fundamental concept of field of mechanical engineering. It occurs when the centrifugal force reverses as the shaft rotates, causing violent vibration. This speed is the threshold that the engineer strives to surpass to achieve a smooth running equilibrium state. Mass distribution, imperfect mass distribution around the geometry. Shaft deflection, stress on the shaft causes deflection, altering the center of mass and axis alignment. Equilibrium state, above the critical speed, centrifugal force balance. Now let's go to the shaft deflection and slope. The deflection of shaft is visually represented in the diagram showing the slope deflection in the vertical plane. These diagrams are crucial for understanding how the shaft behaves under the various loads and resulting deflection as the specific one. As you can see in the diagram 1, we have deflection diagram. Diagram illustrates the deflection in the slope, aiding in the visual analysis. Number 2 diagram, loaded shaft. Real-world scenarios of shaft under different weight show practical deflection. Number three figure, static deflection. Static deflection are measured to determine the shaft performance under the static load. Now let's go to the shaft design by code. The ASME published the code for design of transmission shafting several of years ago. It was the withdraw of few years later, but it has been extremely utilized for the shaft design of all. Similar to the code in general, it often gives conservative results, although there may be an instant where it does not work. closure. Many shafts are supported by 3 or more bearings, which means that the program is statically interminate. Checks on the strength of material give method of resolving such a problem. The design effort should be keeping the economics of a given situation. Um, for example, if one line shaft supported by 3 or more bearings it probably would be cheaper to make conservative assumption. As at the moment in the design is designed as thought it were determinate. Um, the extra cost of oversized shaft may be less the extra cost of elaborate design analyze.
So for the topic 2, keys and couplings. So sometimes yung gears and pulleys natin is nakakonect siya sa shafts sa pamamagitan ng shrink fits or force or sa pamamagitan din ng key or susi. So ngayon naman, i-discuss ko yung different types of key and magsasolve din tayo later. So, una, i-define muna natin ang key. So, a key is a mild steel inserted between the shaft and hub to connect these together in order to prevent relative motion between them inserted parallel to the axis of the shaft. So, familiar naman tayo sa key. For example, ay sa doorknob natin. So, kapag ini-insert natin yung key, nagbibigay tayo ng torque or twisting motion. It's either kapag twinis natin siya, it's either na maklo-close siya para ma-prevent niya yung movement, yung motion, or it's either na naka-open siya. So, ayun. So, depende na lang din sa paggamit natin ng key. So, yun yung key natin. So, yung keyway naman, for example nga dun sa doorknob. So, yung slot dun, yun yung tinatawag natin na keyway o yung pinapasukan na nga nung key. So, yung key yung pumapasok, yung keyway naman siya yung slot na pinapasukan. So, it is a slot or recess in a shaft and hub of the pulley to accommodate a key. So, meron naman tayong different types ng keys. So, sa una muna is the constant cross-sectional keys. So, meron tayong 4. So, una is flat key, pangalawa, square key, third round key, and pang-4 is barred key. So, flat key, it has a rectangular cross-section with a small dimension placed in the radial direction with half sunk in the shaft. So, as you can see nga in the picture, siya ay rectangular siya and flat. So, kalimitan is nagpro-provide siya ng flat surface kasi nga flat siya para ma-transmit niya yung torque or yung twisting motion between dun sa shaft natin saka dun sa connected part. So, pangalawa naman is the square key. So, it has a square cross-section with half on its depth sunk in the shaft and half in the hub. So, ito namang square key. So, yung mismong nga niya key is square nga. So, mas madali siyang mag-fit sa keyway kasi nga square lang siya Then, pang tatlo naman natin is the round key. So, it has a circular cross section. So, ito naman ay nagpipit naman siya sa keyway natin sa both shaft and the hub. So, siya din yung nagko-connect dun sa shaft and hub natin. Then, pang-4 naman is the barred key. So, it is a square key with bottom to corners beveled. So, ito naman ay para siyang tapered shape. So, mamaya makikita niyo yung tapered key natin. So, kalimitan ay ginagamit to na pang-connect sa pulleys and gears papunta dun sa shaft natin. So, kalimitan ginagamit to sa mga high-speed applications. So, kasunod naman natin ay ang variable cross-sectional keys. So, nahahati ito sa tatlo. So, ang una is Woodruff key, pangalawa is give head key, and pangatlo is the saddle key. So, Woodruff key, it is a half of circular disc. So, it's either rectangular, kapag rectangular, female siya, and then kapag semi-cylindrical, male siya. So, kalimitan, itong ginagamit sa mga application kung saan need na ma-accommodate yung groove natin, such as shaft ng gear natin. So, pangalawa naman is the give head key. So, it is a flat key with specialized give head for easy driving and removal. So, naman, ginagamit naman tong give head natin na pang secure ng gears, pulleys, and other rotating components papunta dun sa shaft natin. Then pangatlo is the saddle key. So, it is used without keyway on the shaft. So, ginagamit lang naman to kapag yung space is limited, and kapag kailangan ng stronger key. Kasi nga limited lang yung space. So, sabi nga dito, hindi na niya kailangan ng keyway. So, ang gagamitin natin is the saddle key. So, meron naman tayong other keys dito. So, una is the Kennedy key or tangential key. Pangalawa is the feather key. And pangatlo is the roll pin. So, Kennedy key or tangential key. So, it is a tapered square key with or without give heads assembled with the diagonal dimension in a circumferential direction. So, ito naman yung type ng key na kailangan niya ng high torque or twisting motion na application. So, siya yung nagbibigay ng contact natin, ng tangential contact natin doon sa shaft para ma-distribute yung load natin ng pantay-pantay or equal. So, pangalawa is the feather key. So, it allows the hub to move but prevents rotation on the shaft. And shaft one without has a tight fit into one another, two sliding fit in the other. So, ito namang feather key natin is similar siya dun sa flat key natin, pero may tapered and yun yung feather-like shape siya. Also, meron din siyang screws dito. As nakikita nyo nga dito, may mga butas siya. So, gamit naman dito ay, ang application naman dito is, sinisecure niya, masecure or fit yung, tawag dito, yung shaft natin para mas ma-resist niya yung shear forces. So, panghuli naman natin is the roll pin. So, it is driven or pressed into a height that is small enough to close the slit assembled in radial direction. Ito naman ay ginagamit to connect the two or more parts. So, it is typically used in situation where this assembly is required. So, siya yung nagko-connect ng mga parts. Then, ito naman yung mga following na formulas para sa keys natin. So, meron tayo sa shearing and compression. Sa shearing, ang formula natin is torque is equal to stress times base times length times the diameter divided by 2. So, kaya siya divided by 2. Kung makikita nyo yung width, so yun yung tinutukoy doon, hahatiin nyo lang siya sa dalawa. Then, sa compression naman, ang formula naman natin ay torque is equal to stress times the height times length times d divided by 4. So, kaya naman siya naging 4 is, kung nakikita nyo, meron yung height divided by 2, yung kulay dilaw. So, hahatiin nyo lang siya sa dalawa, kaya siya naging 2. Pero, kung kukunin nyo naman yung, yung stress niya, ay yun lang, i-manipulate nyo lang yung palang formula sa torque. Ito yung formula pala ng torque. So, ayun, kapag kukunin nyo yung stress, yun, i-manipulate nyo na lang yung formula natin. Tapos, ito naman, yung mga suggested na design factor natin. So, pagdating sa smooth loading is 1.5. Kapag dating sa minor shock is 2 to 2.25. And pagdating naman sa severe shock is up to 4.5. So, ayan. So, bali tayo ay magproproceed na tayo sa problem solving. So, ito naman yung example natin for the design of flat key. So, a cast iron pulley is to be keyed to a 2.5 inches shaft made of 1040 and it is to transmit 100 horsepower to 200 revolution per minute. A flat key of cold finish C1020 is to be used. The drive is expected to be subjected to quite minor vibrations so that a design factor of 1.75 appears reasonable. Specify a suitable length of key. So, ito ang given natin. So, per power, so we have 100 horsepower. For speed, we have 200 revolution per minute. Ang ating design factor is 1.75. Ang ating diameter ng shaft is 2.5 inches. So, ayan, kinonvert ko lang din yung iba na given So, 1 horsepower is equal to 0.746 kilowatt. 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. And 1 feet is equal to 12 inches. So, conversion lang. So, dito nga sa given natin, ang binigay na flat key is a cold finish na C1020. So, kung makikita natin sa likod ng ating ang libro ng machine design, so, yung C20 natin na cold finish, ang kanyang yield strength in torsion is 66 KSI. So, para makuha natin yung ating shear stress, so, ayan, we have 1/2 ng ating yield strength in torsion divided by our design factor. So, yan. So, 0.5 times 66 divided by 1.75 is equal to 18.85 KSI. Ngayon, kukunin naman natin yung ating compression. So, since kinompress naman siya, hindi naman siya shear na kumbaga ay parang may dalawang forces na nag-a-act. So, hindi siya nahati. Unlike dun sa ating shearing stress. So, ayan. So, ang ating yield strength is divided by design factor. So, 66 divided by 1.75 is 37.7 KSI. Ayan. Then, para naman sa ating torque. So, ang formula natin for torque is 63,000 times the horsepower divided by the speed. So, ayun lang. I-substitute lang natin yung given natin. So, 63,000 times 100 divided by 200 is equal to 31,500 pounds or 31.5 kapag naman sa kips. So, ayan, meron na tayong torque. Hahanapin naman natin yung length natin. Since, titingnan natin sa likod, yung 2.5, let me check this. Yung 2.5 natin, so kapag titingnan nyo siya sa table 19, so meron dong base, saka thickness. So yung 2.5 na diameter natin ay equal sa 5/8 na base Then 7/16 na thickness. So, nasa pagitan siya ng dalawang given na yun, yung 2.5. Kaya ang ginamit na base tsaka thickness is 5/8 and 7/16. And then, yun na nga, nakuha na natin. So, nagbigay nga ako kanina ng mga formulas. So, sabi ko nga kanina is i-manipulate yun na lang yun. So, kapag manipulate natin siya, ang length natin is equal to 2 times the torque divided by shearing stress times base times the diameter. So, i-substitute lang natin. So, 2 times 31.5 divided by 18.85 times 6.625 times 2.5. So, ang shearing stress, ang length natin for the shearing stress is 2.14 inches. So, para naman sa compression is length is equal to 4 times the torque divided by the compression stress times the thickness times the diameter. So, 4 times 31.5 divided by 37.5 times 0.4075 times 2.5. So, equal siya sa 3.06 inches. So, yun yung sa atin sa compression. So, since ang binigay naman sa given natin is a cast iron pulley is duplicated in 2.5-inch shaft made of 1040. Since yun nga, yung 1040 natin, yun yung pinakang required natin para sa shaft. So, ang gagamitin natin is yung length natin sa compression. So, kaya siya naging 3 inches with yung base sa thickness natin kanina na nakuha. So, 5/8 times 7/16 inches cross-section.
10.11 Flexible couplings. Since shaft misalignment is inevitable, rigid couplings often lead to fatigue failures, overheating bearings, and other troubles, which can be avoided by using flexible couplings. They care for angularity and play and access displacement, absorb shock and vibration, and prevent reverse stresses. Flexible couplings have an intermediate member that can be flexible or floating, while some couplings require lubrication to prevent overheating or benefit from good alignment, allowing the coupling to handle unintentional and unavoidable misalignment. So, ang flexible couplings po ay siya ay ginagamit or isang uri siya ng mechanical system na ginagamit para mag-connect yung dalawang axis or shaft sa isang mechanical system. So, meron tayong mga iba't ibang uri ng flexible couplings. Ang isa doon ay Morflex couplings. So, Morflex couplings, the intermediate elements are four rubber biscuits held in a centerpiece. Each hub is attached to two opposite biscuits, allowing angularity which flex torsionally and axially. No metal-to-metal contact. Good absorber of vibrations, including torsional. Other couplings with non-metallic intermediate elements are available. So, ang Morflex coupling ay gumagana sa pamamagitan ng isang elastomer disc na nagbibigay ng connection mula sa isang axis or shaft papunta sa isa pa, or from one axis or one shaft to another. Next is the roller chain coupling. The two opposing hubs are made with integral sprockets over which a double roller chain is fitted. The drive is through the chain. Flexibility is obtained by lateral play in the feet of the chain over the sprocket tip. So it is relatively inexpensive type, preferably installed with a casing to contain grease lubricant. Similar couplings use silent chain. So, ang roll chain couplings ay it works by using the two sets of roller chains connected to sprockets mounted or going to each shaft or axis that need to be coupled. So when the shafts connected to the coupling, it rotates. The roller chains engage with the sprockets and transfer power from one sprocket to another. So as the roller chain rotates, they mesh with the teeth of the sprockets, creating a mechanical connection that transmits torque from one shaft to another. So these designs allows the coupling to accommodate misalignments and movements between the shafts. Next is the flex pin coupling. So the two flanges of the coupling are connected through laminated steel pins that are relatively flexible. So in the right flange, the pins are held in place by the spring retaining ring and the freedom of the spin to slide in the left flange permits the coupling to perform some endwise motion as well as for angular misalignment. So the flex spin coupling works by utilizing metal spins and an elastomer material to connect two shafts or axes in a mechanical system. The the flex spin consists of two hubs, each with spins that extend radially inward and an elastomer element sandwiched between them. So when the shafts connected to the coupling rotate, the pins flex within the elastomer materials. These flexing actions allows the coupling to accommodate misalignments and movements between the shafts, while it is still effectively transmitting power from one shaft to another. Next is the flexible disc coupling, an all-metal coupling with the intermediate flexible elements being thin steel discs. The shafts, hubs, and the center pieces are connected at different points to the disc. Bending of the disc permits alignment. Two sides of disc permit parallel misalignment. No play or backlash in the connection, nor rotative motion or lubrication. Flexible disc coupling works by utilizing a series of thin, flexible metal or composite discs to connect two shafts or axes in a mechanical system. These discs are mounted alternately on the shafts, with each disc in one shaft alternately sandwiched between two discs in the other shafts. So when the shafts connected to the couplings rotate, the flexible disc deforms slightly due to the torque transmitted between them. Next is the flextile coupling. The spring member which transmits the load is inserted into grooves into the hubs, which widen toward the center. When the load is applied, the spring is bent along the arc of these grooves, whose curvature is such that the spring stresses are safe. The flexible flex steel coupling works by utilizing a combination of steel disc and elastometer inserts to connect and transmit power between two shafts or axes in a mechanical system. Next is the gear type coupling. The hubs have integral internal gear teeth, perhaps crown, that mesh with internal teeth in the casing through 360 degree as in a spline connection. Flexibility is obtained by play between the teeth. So, the gear-type couplings are mechanical devices used to transmit torque between two shafts that are not collinear. They consist of two hubs with external gear teeth that mesh together, and a sleeve with internal gear teeth that connects the hubs. When one shaft rotates, it drives the gears on one hub, which in turn rotate the sleeve and the gears on the other hub, transmitting torque between the shafts. And allows this allows the efficient torque transmissions while accommodating slight misalignments between the shafts. Next is the flexible coupling. In the assembled form, the tanks on the central pieces engage the grooves on the end pieces, which are attached to the shafts to be connected. Next topic is the 10.12 universal joints. A universal joint connects shafts with intersecting axes using Hawkes coupling. If the shafts are at an angle, the coupling does not transmit a constant velocity ratio. However, if two universal joints are used with driving and driven yokes in the same plane, the initial and last shafts will turn at a constant velocity. For a single Hawkes coupling, the shaft's angle should not exceed 15. Some universal joints transmit a constant velocity ratio. So in this figure, 10.28, it is the Hawkes universal joints. So observe the added metal over the keyway and the set screws that hold the key tight in its set and prevent axial movement of the hubs. So a Hawkes universal joint, or also known as the universal joint, it is a mechanical device used to transmit rotational motion between two shafts that are not in line with each other. It consists of two yokes connected by a cross-shaped pivot and forming a flexible joint. Next is the figure 1029, the double universal joint. So this is the double universal joint. So double universal joint has two bending points and can operate at angles up to 90 degree. This type of joint can accept up to 0 degree to 45 degree operating angle misalignment between the two shafts or rods from the central sections. And then 10.13 overrunning clutch. The overrunning clutch that illustrated in the figures 10.31 and 10.32, which we will see later, has many uses, among which are as a freewheeling clutch on automobiles, as a brake on inclined conveyors, to lock the conveyor against an intentional backward motion, as a feed mechanism, and in general in place of a pole and ratchet mechanism, and as a coupling between the shafts. There are variations in the constructions of overrunning clutches, but in all cases, there are some members such as are in figures 1031 and 1032 between the driving and driven members that wedge themselves in one direction and release in the other directions. Figure 1032 is an example of heavy-duty constructions for industrial use. So this is the figure 1030, the constant velocity universal joint. The constant velocity universal joints is a specialized type of universal joint that transmit rotational motion while maintaining a constant velocity or speed of rotation, regardless of the angle at which the shafts are connected. Unlike the traditional universal joint, which can introduce variations in speed as the angle of rotation changes. Constant velocity universal joints provide smooth and consistent power transmission. Next is the figure 1031, the overrunning clutch. So, if the shaft C drives in a counterclockwise direction, the rollers are edged into the space S between A and B is forced to turn. If C turns clockwise, the rollers are not pressed against B and no drive occurs. The effect is the same if B turns counterclockwise faster than C turns counterclockwise. So this is the figure. So this figures is the 10.32. Sprague type overrunning clutch. So the sprags are which are kept in contact with the members by the pressure spring, which tight for one direction of drive and release for the other direction. So this is the figure of sprag type overrunning clutch. So last is the 10.14, the closure. There are many elements of machines whose design and developments have become so specialized, and usually the best procedure is to choose the item from a catalog in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. The couplings above are, for the most part, illustrative of the situation. The feature of the strength equations of this chapter is that the strength is expressed as a torque, a form that is often convenient.
Table 10.2, the nominal dimension of the plants. This table, we have the number of lines, the standard of sizes, nominal, all fits, permanent fit, not slide under load, slide under load. So, sa number of lines, we have 4, 6, 10, and 16. So, yung mga number na nandito was taken from the SAE standard. And the nominal size is the major diameter. The next slide is the 10.6, the spleen shaft. Reversing torque and repeatedly applied torque are the top on the connection like those previously described. Spleen shaft make a stronger connection. Straight-sided spleen are widely used in the automotive and other industries for permanent fits. For fits not intended to slide under loads, and for fits that will slide under load. In the machine tool application, the practice is to vary the whole dimension in order to obtain the desired fit, because there may be both and fresh fit and in sliding fit on the same shaft, in which case it is economical to grind and shaft to a uniform size. The mechanical tool industry, which has need to 5 classes of fit: free fit, sliding fit, push fit, light drive fit, and press fit, refer the fit on the minor diameter. since the corresponding mating surface are the only one that can be ground economically. The design torque capacity T of a spleen connection with the axial sliding is based on a slide pressure of 100 psi, or the T is equals to S times A times R sub M equals to 1000 H times L R sub M, and times N sub 1 is equals to inches per pounds. So the 10.7, the involutes plane. Involutes plane in figure 10.13 are in the form of concentric and external and internal gear teeth with a pressure angle of 30 degrees. The spin are specified by diametral pitch. The standard diameters pitch are 1 and 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20, 24, 32, 40, and 8. Many of the rules are much of the nomenclature of gearing apply, some of which may be reviewed in 3.2 to 13.2 to 13.4. At the spin section, compute the strength of the shaft corresponding to the minor diameter. The length of non-sliding splines may be computed on the basis of the spline being subjected to the same shearing stress as the shaft when 1/4 of the splines are in contract, and when the shear is the pitch at the pitch diameter, thus the shearing area is 1/4. Half, half times the circumference pi d over 2 times the length or the area, which is pi dl over 8, and corresponding force is equals to shearing stress times the area, or the shearing stress times pi dl over 8, and torque is equals to Fr for R is equals to T over 2. Is T is equals to shearing stress pi dl over 8 times the T over 2. Equating this torque to the resistance of the shaft is equals to T is equals to shearing stress pi dr cube over 16. Find the T is equals to shearing stress pi dr to the cube over 16 is equals to shearing stress pi d squared L over 16, or the L is equals to dt cube over t squared. So the next slide is the figure 10.13, the involute spline profile. So, kung makikita nyo, yung vertical line sa center ay divided siya sa internal at external spline form. So, the dotted outlines are optional. Certain dimensions are the pitch diameter. Yung diameter natin ay dt is equals to nt divided by the pd. The tooth thickness equals to t is equals to pi over 2 pd. Sa addendum, a is equals to 0.500 over the fd, and sa addendum, p sub 1 is equals to 0.900 pd, and the pd is equals to 12. The addendum, b is equals to 500, 0.500 over pd on the internal spline for major diameter fits. On external spline, for minor diameter bits. So the next slide is the figure 10.14, the hub for splitting shaft. This value of AC is based on 1/4 of the teeth being under load. However, failure in compression is not likely. So in figure 10.14, they have a smooth surface that does not need grinding for most application. So the next slide is the 10.8 shear pin. Shear pin or the breaking pins are used as couplings or in addition to other couplings where in case of overload there is danger of injury to machine or to material in process. So in figure 10.15, the shear pin, this is one type. This 10.15 is designed for a roller chain sprocket wheel. Without the shear pin, the part M would rotate on the part N, which is keyed to the shaft. Thus, the drive ceases when shear pin breaks. The braking stress in 1/8 inches to 1 inches pin sizes manufactured by Link-Belt is taken as 50,000 psi in shear. So the next slide is 10.9 rigid couplings. Shafts are directly connected to one another by couplings. Clutches are used when the shafts are virtually collinear and when they should remain in a fixed angular relation with respect to each other, except for angular deflection. However, nearly true alignment of the axis of the connecting shaft is difficult to achieve, and after it has been accomplished is too difficult to maintain because of the setting of foundation, unequal deflection of supportive, deflection of the shaft under load, temperature changes, wherein bearings, effect of shock and vibration. Those rigid couplings result in stress of unknown values, which may sometimes lead to failure and are most successfully used where the shaft is respectively flexible as a line shaft and its speed is slow. In figure 10.16, the flange coupling is key to a shaft. The bases are finished normal to the axis. The bolts and holes are accurately finished to give a tight fit. Standard sizes up to 8 inches bore. So the 10.17, the flange compression couplings is to transmit the power via the frictional forces induced by pulling the flanges towards each other over slotted, tapered sleeves. This plan eliminates the expense of cutting keyways, standard size up to 3 inches bore. The 10.18, the rib compression coupling is a heavy-duty connection. The parts are clamped on a long key that is fitted to the boat shaft, a flange that helps in aligning. The advantage of this type it is that can be installed and removed without disturbing the shaft. Standard sizes up to 7 inches bore. Stock flange made of cast iron or steel or warped steel. Other metals may be used for a season. 10.10 example, the flange couplings. Couplings are designed by the manufacturer, and ordinarily, the user's function is to choose one that serves his purpose. However, computation will not only provide a lesson in simple stress analysis, but will also indicate by the size of the factor of safety, where experience has shown that unaccounted for stress are involved. So, a manufacturer catalog gives the following dimension in inches for a flange couplings. Let the shaft be made of cold finish. C 1035, the bolts in the square key of cold round. C 1020, and the flange of a rolled C 1035. There are N sub B is equals to 4. Bolts equally spaced. Let the design factor of N is equals to 3.5 based on the shearing yield strength, cover the effect of stress, concentration, and determine the torque capacity of the shaft in pure torsion. Then for this torque applied to the other parts of the connection, compute the nominal factors of safety based on yield strength for each conventional method of failure. For the solution, the yield strength of the material are S sub y for tension and compression is S sub y sub z is equals to 0.6 S sub y. From table at 7, count down the C is equals to 1020. The S sub y is equals to 66 KSI. The S sub y and C is equals to 39.6 KSI. From the table at 7 as showed, C is equals to 1035. S sub y is equals to 55 KSI, and S sub SYZ is equals to 33 KSI. From the table at 10, cold round C 1035, S sub y is equals to 78 KSI, S sub y and Z is equals to 46.8 KSI. For in computing the nominal stress, we shall find it convenient to set up the strength equation in terms of the torque as in equation A and B for keys, because all parts of the connection are subjected to the same torque. For S sub y Z is equals to 46.8 KSI and N is equals to 35, the torque capacity of the shaft is in figure 10.19. T is equals to shearing stress equals to 5D squared over 16 is equals to 46.8 times the pi times 3 raised to 3 is equals to 3.5 times 16 is equals to 71 inches cubes. The bolt may fail to shearing between the flange base where the major diameter of the bolt H is equals to 3/4 inches is assumed to be resisting. For 4 bolts, the area offering resistance is 4a sub 1 is equals to 4 phi h squared over 4 is equals to phi h squared is equals to phi times 0.75 squared. The corresponding resisting force is shearing stress times the area is equals to shearing stress phi times 0.75 squared. The moment arm of this resistance is R is equals to H over 2 is equals to 8.25 over 2 is equals to 4.125 inches. In figure 19, hence the torque T is equals to Fr times shearing stress pi times 0.75 squared times 4.125 is equals to 71 inches cubes. From which we find shearing stress is equals to 9.73 KSI. The factor of safety is equals to N over 39.6 over 9.73 is equal to 4.07. Shear bolt friction ignore. The compression area of the bolt on a fringe is Hg for 4 bolts. It is A equals to 4Hg is equals to 4 times 0.75 times 1.0625 is equals to 3.1875. The corresponding resistance force is shearing stress times the area, which is equals to shearing stress times 3.1875. Those moment arm is R is equals to H over 2 is equals to 4.125. Hence, the torque is SAR. Torque is equals to FR is equals to S sub C is equals to 3 times 3.1875 times 4.125 is equals to 71 inches cube. From which S sub C is equals to 5.4 KSI with the plane strength governing. N is equals to 55 over 5.4 is equals to 10.2, the compression bolts and the flange. The flange may shear at the outside half diameter. The resisting area is cylindrical pi dg. The resisting force is shearing stress times pi dg is equals to shearing stress by 5.375, 1.0625, and with a moment arm of R is equals to T over 2 is equals to 5.325 over 2 is equals to 2.6875. The resisting torque is the T is equals to FR is equals to shearing stress times pi is 5.375 times 1.06625 times 2.6875 is equals to 71 inches cubes, from which shearing stress is equals to 1.47 KSI. The nominal factor of safety is equal to N is equals to 33 over 1.44. The shear of flange is 22.4. There is no danger here of failure by pure shear, even if a fatigue strength reduction factor were included, but this same section may have severe and undefinable bending stresses on it if flanges are perfectly aligned, and there surely will be. We might also observe that the bolts will be objected to the sum binding, which we hope will be small. Let the side of the square K be of 3/4 inches, table at 19. Let its length be the half length. The length is equals to 4.75 inches. The computed factors of safety of the key are N is equals to 39.6 over the shearing stress is equals to 39.6 PDL over 2T is equals to 39.6 times 0.75 times 3 times 4.75 all over the 2 times 71 is equals to 2.98 for the shear. For the compression, N is equals to 55 over the S sub C is equals to 55 TTL over the 4T is equals to 55 times 0.75 times 3 times 4.75 all over the 4 times 71 is equals to 2.07. Sample problem: a flange bolt coupling consists of 8 10 mm diameter steel bolt on a bolt circle per 100 mm in diameter and 6 10 mm diameter steel bolt on a concentric bolt circle 300 mm in diameter as shown in the figure. What torque can be applied without exceeding as a shearing stress of 60 MPa in a bolt? So, for one bolt in the outer cycle, so yung unang mga bilog-bilog, yan yung 8-10 mm diameter. Tapos yung pangalawa is yung 6-10 mm diameter. So, the P1 is equals to AT is equals to pi times 10 squared over 4 times 60. The P1 is equals to 1,500 pi Newton. For one bolt in the inner circle, which is yung 6, so P1 over R1 is equals to P2 over R2. The 1,500 pi over 200 is equals to P2 over the 150, and the P2 is equals to 1,125 pi Newton. So, para makuha natin yung T, yung torque natin, ang gagamitin natin formula is P1 R1 N1 plus P2 R2 and N2. So, given naman na lahat, isa-substitute na lang. So, 1,500 pi times the 200 times 8 plus 1,125 pi times 150 times 6. The torque is 33,412,500 pi Newton millimeter. So, kung i-convert natin siya sa kilonewton, so pwede siya sa 3.4125 pi kilonewton times meter is equals to, pwede rin siya sa 10.72 kilonewton meter.